Welcome, everybody, to yet another goddamn horror podcast. I am one of your hosts. I am Ryan Danley, coming to you from a sunny, water-spitting day in Portland, Oregon. And actually, you know what? We're not going to talk about the weather. I lost my job today, so we're going to talk about that for 1 second. You guys feel bad for me?
I do.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know what to do. Like,
what kind of assholes would be if we're?
I think you should move to New York now.
I think
that's exactly you do.
I think I should move to New York. No, New York is like opening a restaurant. You got to expect to like lose money for like the first 2 years. You know what I mean? Like you have to have like a nest egg to move to New York.
I have been losing money for way more than 2 years.
Time.
Like it's just
10
that was
years.
so depressing of a timeline. I'm fucked. Like, oh no.
Well, you can move back to Jersey City. Isn't that where you lived before?
Oh, don't remind me of that.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
no, it was Union City, and I was losing money in Union City. That's how bad it was when I moved to New York.
It wasn't even cool.
No,
no, that's the problem. No offense to New Jersey. We have some.
No, you know what? Listen, there's lots of good parts of New Jersey and North Jersey, Union City, not bad. My apartment, not great. All right,
sure, totally. So you guys doing good? You guys have your jobs? You guys?
I'm doing great.
All right.
Yeah. My job's still going. So
basically, what it is that if you listen to the show and you feel sorry for me, maybe you should join our Patreon, because if all of our thousands of listeners used our Patreon, I wouldn't have to go to work anymore. I could just do this for a living. So that's my shout out to our Patreon.
What a fucking pitch that was. You know what?
That's pretty good.
If we don't get any Patreon boost from that, like I'm not gonna say that they're assholes, but like listen, even if there was even $1, just $1 boost, and I'll be like that cleans the slate.
We have $1 tier. So yeah, go check it out. Anyways, yeah, I'll find another job. I am
You're very hireable.
I'm hireable. Yeah, I guess. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like that makes me feel like I lose all my punk points when anybody says that, though. So
no. You're responsible and you wear glasses. That's good. Milo,
right?
Right. Yeah, Milo. But Milo went to college. I did not.
Listen, if you look at the headshot of most successful punks, just the headshot, you'd be like, I'll fucking hire that dude. Yeah, like just looking at that.
Sure. I got sleeves.
Maybe.
Anyway, I got my tattoos. Anyways, do you want to introduce our guests?
I'd love to. Tonight, whatever. We've got Night Demon, bassist and vocalist Jarvis Weatherby. How's it going, Jarvis? Are you here? He's still here? Oh shit.
What's up, Jarvis?
There's Jarvis.
Going all right. How you guys doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good.
Love it. So
this is Rocky. This is our mascot. This is his new mask for this next tour. So
that is a bitchin' mask, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Oh yes, that's great.
Right. So
yeah, really
for listeners, it's this gray skull with glowing eyes and the jaw opens up and down. It's fantastic. All right, awesome. Yep. So real quick, I just want to get a genre check, because I've heard you referred to as trad metal, which is traditional heavy metal. And trad metal, from what I can understand, it's basically Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. And that's all I can really figure out. Other than that, I love some of the new shit like Haunt and You Guys and Enforcer and stuff like that. But I'm kind of confused with, I'm not good at genres anyway, but can you sort of tell us what trad metal is for you?
I pretty much nailed it. Metal is the only genre of music that has like 300 subgenres, or really most genres of music have maybe 3 to 5 subgenres, if that,
Yeah.
And usually that's based on where people are from, like Texas blues. It's like, oh, well, Stevie Ray Vaughan, but is it really Texas sound? I don't know. Right. But yeah, trad metal, traditional heavy metal, we're kind of known as, I guess, probably in the originators of the new wave of traditional heavy metal scene, which is kind of like a revival of like early 80s sound. But the thing about us, I mean, I didn't go to college like Milo, but we did come from the punk scene, in Southern California, and we were always metalheads. But there wasn't really a scene out here. So the whole DIY ethos and, playing with hardcore punk bands. And we have a real rich history here of like hardcore skate punk from the 80s. That's kind of what we were always around. So we're more of a kind of street metal band, I guess you would say. We're a pretty tight band, but we're a 3-piece band, much like Motorhead, but with a lot more dimension. And, we don't play to click tracks. We're not, I think the problem with the new wave of traditional heavy metal scene in general is there's a lot of great bands, but there's a lot of kids that were born in the 90s that they kind of adopt the fashion sense as well from the 80s. And that's what kind of makes it a novelty. We take ourselves a bit more seriously. It's hard to take a band serious when they're kind of just copying what happened before when they weren't around for it, and you still have the originators that are still around doing it. It's like, why not?
That's true.
I think we just wear our influences on our sleeve heavily, and it's in our DNA to play the music that we really love stylistically. That's the best way.
That's awesome. Well, the new record fucking rules. It's called Outsider. It's out this month, I believe.
Yeah.
And the title track and Escape from Beyond are dope singles, but I got to listen to the whole thing, and the closer, The Wrath, is fucking just dope. And I love, like you said, you grew up around like sort of skate punk and stuff, and there's like a skate thrash like vibe, especially in your early stuff. I fell in love with the I didn't even know, but like the Night Demon EP, and that shit is just like great, and it's got this very punk thrashy feel to it, but also that traditional metal. So I'm really excited for this record, and you've clearly also gotten much better too. Like the sounds are bigger and tighter and faster, but like it gets in the second half of the album, it just sort of like opens up, and I really love that. And then it comes crashing in parts in the rap. It's very, very good. So
well, thank you for that. Here's the truth. It's a concept album from beginning to end. I actually wrote a screenplay, and we adapted the music to that script. So
that's awesome.
It was challenging, but it's a concept record through and through. So the music goes where the story goes, and that's why you have so many twists and turns, and it's pretty dramatic, and there's a lot of dynamics in there, and that's the reason for it. It's not so much trying to really step out of the box so much, but that's kind of what the end result was, and we're cool with that. It's probably the most ambitious thing we've ever done, but it's definitely the most gratifying thing, as far as the work and the effort that was put into it, and seeing it through to the end, because writing sucks. Writing's hard, man. But I'm super stoked on it. I'm not gonna say it's our best album, although I think it is. It's like I love all my children, but like I like to leave that up to the fans, because every band's gonna say, oh yeah, it's our best record, like our newest record, and that's just not true in a lot of cases, and so I just think it's all subjective. It's all what the listeners gravitate towards. Like I'm good with whatever. I'm good with that,
Well, it's the most I think cohesive. Like it feels like an album looking from the outside. Like the other records feel like a collection of rad songs, but this feels like a concept album. So yeah, that makes total sense.
Cool. Also, I want to say this really quick. I also want to preface this before I say it, so that you know that it's a compliment. My mom fucking rules. She's been a metalhead for pretty much her whole life. My first concert was Alice Cooper, Welcome to My Nightmare, while I was still in the womb. And she used to be a roadie for a lot of different bands like Motorhead and Alice Cooper and all these different bands and everything. So when Graham had reached out about doing this episode, and he sent the music and everything, and I started listening to it, and I was like, oh fuck, like this brings me back to like stuff that I remember growing up on, like the sound of it did. And I sent it to my mom, and I was like, I really think you're gonna like this stuff. I sent it to her, and she sent it back, and she was like, I absolutely fucking love this. Like she loved it so much. And she was like, this reminds me of Sabbath. It reminds me of Motorhead. It reminds me of all the stuff. Like she goes, but it's modern too, which I love. And she was like, she goes, this is like my new favorite band. And she's
hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm so stoked, man. Tell her, is she out in where she's out in Jersey or New York? Where is she?
No, she's in Washington State.
Oh shit, we're not going there on this tour. Oh well, okay, but next time get a hold of me and we'll give her the royal treatment. You know, I'm not offended by that at all, and I'll tell you why. I would say 65% of our fans are over the age of 50, and that's why we do this for a living, because they have money to buy shit, and
Right.
and they support the fuck out of us, and I'm grateful, you know. So
you have a great, you know. So I want to bring this up because you do have like a great like it's a more like it's an old school traditional sound, but there is that, like, I believe, because of all of the bands that we've had on here, like we've had a label mate, Century Media label mate, sang with Sugabog on here as well, that punk rock inspires great metal. What do you think? Do you think that they're like, I feel like for some reason this has been a theory of mine for a while, because I think Anthrax is truthfully a skate punk band, but it's a controversial hot take that I
wait, what?
I think that Anthrax is actually a skate rock. Like if they had come out, they were like skate thrash.
Ryan doesn't like to admit that he likes metal, so he tries to rename all the bands.
Definitely some New York hardcore influence on that band, you know.
Right, exactly. And I'd like to say that, like, I mean, like when I listen to yours, like, do you feel like the punk influence has tightened up metal a little bit?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the thing is like Iron Maiden will always deny that the punk scene influenced them for some reason. I think because they love prog so much, but like right. that's just, I think that's just a bold-faced lie. You know, sure. I mean, being from East London in the late 70s, like how can you not, right?
Exactly.
But you know, I think what we do, it's punk. Punk goes beyond musical style. It goes, sure. It's punk. Punk has great songwriting. It has a message, and it's got like an ethos of what the band represents.
Right.
Every punk band is like its own culture, you know? And I think it makes us a cool band is kind of, we've just naturally been that way, you know? And all we've done is just add some more musicianship to it, you know? I mean, we care more about that end of it. And that's, so, you know, yeah, we used to say that we were an honorary British band from California with a punk rock backbone.
Like that.
That's awesome. I've always said that I played in a bunch of like pop punk bands like Ramones Core and stuff. And I always said I'd be a thrash metal band if I was a better guitarist, you know?
Well, I was in a band in that scene in the early 2000s called No Motive.
And I know Motive.
Yeah, so Trevor Keith from Face to Face produced a couple records for us. We toured with Face, MXPX, Strung Out. I mean, you name it, like Alkaline Trio. We toured them a lot. So, I mean, like being in that scene, I mean, I really was able to learn how to write songs, you know?
Sure.
There's a pop sensibility to our music too, and the fact that the song is short and like there are certain structures like that. But if you hit it hard with the metal tinge, like it just works. I mean, I still like stuff that's like listenable, you know, and pleasing to the ear, you know. So
right, totally. Anyways, that's just I just have to go like when I listen to you, like when we were getting to this, and I listened for, I still got like a little of that ethos in there. It's just an interesting thing that I've watched kind of change in my life. You know what I mean? Like it's just you know.
I hate that. I really do. You know, that's funny because we always talk, like me and all my punk friends and all my metal friends, like there's a lot of crossover these days, a lot more than there was back then. People are so much more open-minded and like so much different stuff.
Totally.
But we always say that, like, you know, it's like this, in a perfect world, if you can marry the two, like we always kind of say that, like metal band guys are assholes, and like, but the fans are great, and like punk fans are assholes, and like the band's guys are great, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
So which are you?
I'm a fan of I'm a fan of metal and a punk musician.
I get it. Well, you're from Ventura, right? So you there's some great bands from Ventura. I mean,
so Stolic 13,
right.
False Confession, Aggression, The Missing 23rd. I mean, those are like the big ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Aggression ended up living down the street from where I went to high school outside of Denver.
That's they in the later years they moved out to Denver to kind of reset, you know. Bob Clark's dead, Henry Knowles is dead, Icky's dead, all those guys, you know.
I won't get into it, but I could have told you that when I spent some time with them.
Sure.
Because it was they weren't getting the best of Denver, I'll tell you that. Anyways, we'll just leave that alone. But even more modern stuff like Nails is from Ventura too, right?
I grew up with Todd Jones from Nails. He and I were the same age, and we went to school together. I actually just got a text from him the other night. Cool. Yeah, it's really cool. It's cool that we kind of are some of the guys that really stuck with it with music and have kind of taken it to another level, like after our 30s, which like that's when most of our friends were kind of going the other direction and putting the guitar down, you know, and we kind of just stuck with it and kind of went to new heights after that. And that's really cool to realize that dream later on in life, because, you know, you're more experienced, you've made most of the big mistakes. And, you know, it's like all these older bands, like we don't realize we give them a lot of shit for evolving or changing, but it's like, you know, imagine if you were judged on your whole entire career was judged on something you did when you were 19, you know. It's like none of us would probably be around, you know. So I'm really proud of that fact, and it's cool to see like we're really good supporters of each other, like
that's right,
way later in life now, you know.
I mean, you gotta give Nails credit too for like being such a I mean, they're big for and it's not like big type of music. Does that make sense? Like it's like they're like, I mean, I don't know, for just being like tough, I don't know. It's just an interesting
power violence with 30-second songs, you know, and like it's not like they hit the road a lot and go promote themselves, you know. It's become this cult thing, you know, and it's kind of like nobody thought that was going to happen, you know, but I'm glad it did. You know, so.
Cool. I know. That's cool. It's cool. That makes this makes me happy that y'all grew up together and still doing the shit. And you know, and us older guys, we can all be such geeks about this stuff, but it does matter. You know what I mean? Like the people who listen to the stuff and it's bringing it to the new and playing this kind of music and doing it and gives it that genuineism. And is that a word? Genuineism?
It is now.
It is now.
It is now. But it's you would never know that I'm a writer by how ridiculously terrible I am.
I can Jack Daniels on your breath from here. I know you're
exactly. That's from 13 and a half years ago. It still hasn't worn off. Yeah, so it's just cool to see everybody you know, doing it and in places you know, I mean, it's Southern California and it's Ventura, California, and it's you know, it's that place mattered and it still does, and good work on keeping it fucking killing it.
Thank you so much.
And you can hear it, and you can hear it in the band. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's mostly what I'm saying with it. You can hear that lineage to those things in the music.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I was talking with Trevor from Haunt the other day, and he was kind of talking about both our bands. He's like, we sound different, but we have this California sound. And I never thought of that, you know? Sure. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of knew that it was gonna be. It was like when we interviewed Sango Sugabog and he had a Buried Alive shirt on. I was like, haha, I knew it. Yeah. I knew that you had a hardcore background. Yeah. I knew there was some Scott Vogel in the mix in there, you know.
Right.
Um, yeah, not to really keep going on, but I just you can see the progression, and I like you were saying, like you can put on the costume and cosplay like what they did back then, but like it's not really living it. Like you're living it if you're pushing it, if you're looking for the next stage or level, and that's always what I hate when bands come out with the same records. If they come out with something completely different, I'm stoked because I want to know, like it can be a total 180 and I'll be interested because I like the first album, their songwriters. So
yeah, I agree with that. And I say, look, it's one thing to try and change, and that's a lot of pressure for people to kind of invent something. We think that we live in a world where everything's been created. It hasn't. You just need to. You don't need to be completely different just to be different. I think you just got to be yourself. And sometimes people are just searching for what that is. But as long as you're searching for it, you're on the right track. I think people they really like individuality. It doesn't have to be like, it doesn't even have to be good.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention this really quick because this is like a little bit of a transition into the horror aspect of it, because I was watching, like when we were looking at the videos and we were looking at like listening to the songs and everything, the two singles off this new album have drastically different videos. One of them is straight up on white, like it's basic but awesome, and then you hit that breakdown part where there's the color change and there's the shift there, and then the newest single, that shit's straight up horror. Like, so whose idea was it to go like the full horror route with that new video?
Well, I mean, look, the thing is, it being a concept album, we kind of told the record company, we're like, if you want us to do videos, then we got to do a video for every song, and we got to tell this story. Unless you want to, it's funny because we're signed to Sony, and our office is their office is on the Sony Pictures lot. So when I go to meetings, I'm passing by tons of shit that's being filmed, and I'm like, "Hey, I have this movie script. Like, we could do this, And that's a whole different world. And I'm looking out the window, and there's like the Breaking Bad RV sitting there. I'm like, dude, really? Like, so anyway, they're like, we want 4 videos, and I was like, okay, well, we're just gonna do performance videos straight up because we're not going to just jump in and, hey, let's tell chapter 5 first and then never tell
right.
There's another thing too, like just from a business standpoint, narrative videos have like 1/10 of the view count these days than performance videos. In my opinion, performance videos are kind of boring, but I guess
Agreed.
people just see the band play now. Like there's no attention span anymore. If the credits start to roll and the lights fade in and there's a story happening, people after 5 seconds, people are like, no, I'm out. Yeah, I got time for this, but if the band's rocking out, they're like, oh, I kind of want to check these guys out, so I can leave a comment and say how fucking ugly they are,
Exactly. So I could just say something totally shitty because I'm on the internet. Why wouldn't
right.
Yeah.
You never read the comments. Never.
Yeah. But like our older videos, all of the videos prior to this album are like straight mini like horror films. So like that's our passion. I think this story of this album is much more of a sci-fi drama. So it's a lot less horror involved. It's the story is kind of like Back to the Future meets It's a Wonderful Life. Sure. But yeah, really check out our old stuff, man, because those videos you'll get a little narrative story and kind of there's stuff that happens in there. This time around, it's just cool visuals and performances, really. And we've got a couple more coming out that I think you'll dig. So
see, and I like that because I'm big with music videos, like I'm a big fan of music videos, and like I think what my experience has been when I watch a band's music videos is that one of two things goes very, very well as far as like view counts and like people's reactions and stuff. It's either a really cool straight up performance video or it's a full lean in into like the mini movie thing. So like, you know, look at a band like Slaughter to Prevail. Like they've got a couple of videos where it's just a performance where it's like crazy camera work, but it's really just a performance video. And then you have the one for, I think it's called Baba Yaga, where he's like fighting a bear. Like it's like, you know, it's a full on like, it's the most Russian video of all time. But like it's but then there's a bunch of shit in between that it's kind of just like but like those two extremes are just an example of it. And that's what kind of why I brought up these last two singles, because like they are on two different spectrums of the type of music video, but they're both awesome, which is, you know, that speaks to what you guys are doing. So yeah, I can't wait to jump into like your full catalog at this point. Like I'm stoked for it.
I appreciate it. I think you will enjoy the older videos. I really do on that tip. Oh, by the way, I got to jump in here on the bear fighting thing. I took a picture. I don't know if you guys know about this new movie, Cocaine Bear.
It's the greatest cinematic achievement of our species, bar none.
I went to this thing in January. I don't know. Here, let's get dark over here. It's like a Famous Monsters did like a horror film fest at the Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood. Yeah. And Mick Garris was presenting Creature of the Black Lagoon. And so I went to that showing, and I have a picture with him in front of the Cocaine Bear poster. And I like asking my girlfriend after, I was like, what the fuck? Because I hadn't even heard of that. And there was like, I was just fascinated about what was in the background, you know. I was like, what, is that real? Like, I thought it was just some kind of put on, you know, that put up, sometimes they make fake movie posters for these cons and stuff like that. And I was like, holy shit. So I'm glad to hear that there's some good feedback there on that, because I definitely want to check it out, because I do love cocaine. And
so I'll tell you real quick my experience. I saw the poster much like you and was like, oh, is that fake? Like, or is it just like one of those posters that it looked very much like a very low budget, goofy horror film poster. So I was like, okay, I'm really, really into this. I hope it's real. Then I found out it was real. I'm super into it. Then I found out how much money was going into it and who was directing it. And I was happy who's directing it because it's Elizabeth Banks, because I love her, but it's big Hollywood stuff. Yeah. So it's big Hollywood stuff.
The comedic actor.
Yeah. So she's very cool. She directed it. It's based on
the one that made a porno with Seth Rogen. Yes, that Elizabeth Banks. Yeah.
So I found out that she was involved in everything. I found out it's a Hollywood movie. I figured, they're gonna base it off the real Cocaine Bear story, where a bear actually ate some cocaine that was dropped out. It ate like a kilo and then acted weird and died. And she wanted to make a revenge movie, not a revenge movie, but like a vengeance movie. I don't know. I'll think of the word name. Anyway, I found out that was happening. So I was like, oh, it's just going to be some fucking like courtroom thing, or like a drama where they're like talking about, and the cocaine will be talked about a little bit. And then I saw the trailer and I was like, holy fuck, this is real as fuck. It's exactly what I want. And I can't believe it. And then I went and saw it last Saturday morning and was absolutely blown away. It's the favorite movie ever.
Really?
So fucking fun.
Okay. All right. I definitely have to check it out now. I actually take that back. I really don't personally like cocaine. I just like the way
it's a classic.
It's classic. Everybody loves the smell of cocaine.
All right, two things. One, if you're gonna make, I have to jump back a little bit.
Yeah.
If you're gonna make a performance video, you have to make it like Poison's "Every Rose Has Its Thorn," because if you remember the "Every Rose Has Its Thorn" video, they were like performing, but also like suffering. Like it was like they were picking Bobby Doll up off the stage because he was like all fucked up from playing fucking Look What the Cat Did,
too emotionally.
Yeah, I mean, they were like fucked up. Like Bret Michaels is walking and he throws his cup of water at the chalkboard. You know what I mean? Like that is a fucked up scene. Whatever's happening in Poison's world during that time period, like was fucked up, and that made that performance video just just that much better. Like, and it's in black and white at the beginning. He like gets up and he's been like with some hot chick and stuff like that, but he's still fucking miserable because of all this shit that they went through. It tells the tale of the misery of being poisoned. Anyways, so that's my advice for.
Well, then my advice is watch some of our videos and notice our drummers, the inside of our drummers' right bicep.
Okay.
Because there's a tattoo that he has that relates to exactly what you're talking about.
I cannot wait.
It is Poison logo in bright green. So
that's perfect.
Oh yes.
See, I called it.
I legitimately think the only other performance video that can even match that is November Rain from Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's just like
that's not really a performance, though.
No,
that's a movie.
It's a movie, but it's legendarily hilarious because all of a sudden it's just like, why the fuck is this guy playing guitar in the middle of the street? What's happening? Like,
friend of the show,
what's
Ian,
happening?
walked to when he got married. He walked down the aisle to the long version of that song.
What?
Jesus Christ. That's what a world.
My friend Ian, he's been on the show.
I mean, that's a long walk. Okay.
It's he like made a whole deal out of it. It was pretty funny.
All right. I hope nobody died.
And by the way, I just have to music geek for just 1 second, just to show how cool that we had that entire talk about Ventura, California, and we didn't even mention the word NARD CORE at all. And I feel like not throwing that out there was kind of a miss. So yep, there it is, NARD CORE. NARD CORE. Yep, it is. It's the.
I've been branded. I got this tattoo when I was 15.
I think
amazing.
You know what? Speaking of movies, and I'm just going to throw this out there, and everybody listening who doesn't know about NARD CORE, which is punk rock from Oxnard, California, I would say Ill Repute or Dr. No are the biggest NARD CORE bands.
Yep. I mean, is probably the biggest, but there's the big four. We have our big four. It's Aggression, Ill Repute, Dr. No, and Stalag 13.
Sure.
Yeah.
And there is a NARD CORE 7-inch that has all these bands on it. Ill Repute did go on to be on Fat Records or Epitaph or one of those, and
they were on Dr. Strange.
Yeah, but didn't Big Rusty Balls come out on?
It was on Dr.
That came out on Dr. Strange.
It almost came out on Fat Records, Fat Mike, but at the time it was like, oh, Fat Mike's just starting a label. It's like, let's go with Dr. Strange because he's already put out records. But Fat Mike, I don't know if that's going to go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
we call that the NARD curse.
that is the NARD curse. Dr. Strange put out a bunch of great records. He did it for. Well, I don't know if he's still doing it, but anyways, I just had to geek out it. But you know what? But the last thing I'll say about NARD CORE is somebody should give it a documentary like interview of all of that, and if anybody could give that, like you might be a great person because if you're already into but it could really use
if you've ever heard of the Nard Fest.
So I have heard of it. Yeah,
I'm the creator of that, so I'm the promoter.
Oh, cool.
And actually, it was originally called Nard Stock, but I got sued by Woodstock. These motherfuckers.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, I should not. Actually, fuck that. Hold on. I'm going to run upstairs real quick because we're on video. I will show you the actual lawsuit.
Oh, this is fucking amazing. This is like my favorite shit in the world.
I framed this fucking shit. This was the first cease and desist letter for Nard Stock. I took the art, right? And I put Nard CORE on the knuckles and made the bird all punk and fucked up, right? And this is on the 30th anniversary of NARD CORE. And I did it on the same weekend. It was the anniversary weekend of Woodstock, right? So that middle weekend of August. And kind of did that. Look, they even sent me a copyright, like, here's the original bird patent. Fuck you, So anyway, that's my my little
if you understand how I feel about hippies too, like that is like exactly everything right there, like in a little thing. Thank you. This is fantastic.
Peace, love, and commerce.
peace, love, and cease and desist.
Yeah,
I have a quick question,
what
real
Burning
quick.
Man turned into.
because I don't know anybody else, but I think
sorry, real quick. I want to remember this, Ryan. There is a documentary about ill repute that somebody made. If there is a film, so you should check that out. It's by a company called Punk Rock Chronicles out of Orange County. They did a book and a documentary.
Okay.
So, okay. Sorry, Graham.
I will look into.
No, that's okay. I forgot what I was going to say anyway. It's not a problem. Sorry. No, don't worry about it. It was not important. Oh no, I do remember now. So you brought up Doctor Strange Records, and I think I'm not sure exactly, but have you ever heard of a band called the Marshes? God. They're from Massachusetts, but I think they were on a compilation at some point. I can't find anybody that knows this band or like can find out what they've done since. Like, they're the Marshes, and they were one of my favorite bands of the 90s.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I find that usually good stuff seeps through. So
yeah, that's a nice burn, but yes. They were very good.
That's probably the best answer we've ever had.
You would like the Marshes.
Everybody. Sure. Well, people say that a lot. Good. They ask me a lot these days. They're like, you guys have kind of a vintage sound. Like, do you wish, that you were around in the 80s? Because now it's like, there's the industry sucks and there's no money. And I was like, no, if I was around in the 80s, like we would have had to like, get picked up by a major label and like whatever, who knows what could have happened.
Sure.
Now you can on the internet and like, oh yeah, there's so much competition. Yeah, there is, but good stuff is always discovered, So
right.
you well, most of the time. So
I mean, sure. I mean, like, I guess if there's people who are, I mean, like, there is a thing to all of us, and being podcasters, we know this. Like, like, I mean, we literally named this not another goddamn horror or another goddamn horror podcast because there's so much fucking, horror, But the thing is, though, is that like, more isn't bad. You know what I mean? Like having more cool bands, like
there's more chances of great.
I mean. That's the name of the album.
More chances. Right, that's good. Like more chances for great. That's winning today. But Graham's killing it. But it's I feel like like if people like, I hate to sound like an old guy, but like it was either like you were on a record label that was recognized. Like, I mean, like we literally, like my friend found the Face to Face record because it was on Doctor Strange.
Right?
Because that first pressing before we all know what happened in that situation. Some people do. But it's and then it ended up on Fat Records. And but when we first saw it, it was on Doctor Strange, and everybody said, "Oh, it's probably good because it's on Doctor Strange." Right. And so, or you looked at the back of MRR, and if your record got sent to the right guy, it got a good review. If it didn't get sent to the right guy, and I say guy because let's be real, it was mostly guys. You know what I mean? They didn't like your brand of pop punk or whatever, they would just shit on it. So it's just kind of like, so the chances to actually get heard and get things and get is just so much better now. To what I mean? There's just so many more ways to hear shit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But the one thing now is like, so you mentioned that, like, see, the cool thing about labels back in the day, especially indie labels, is like you could trust them. Like, as far as like, you knew, like, if this label's putting out this record, it's the bands on the labels had like a camaraderie. They were like a gang, or there was a sound from the label,
Right.
Nowadays it's all over the place, so
yeah. I mean, I do think that went both directions though, because like if we take like Fat Records, like all of a sudden every band sounded like a Fat Record band, and it was like too much of the, and part of that was like, like, I mean, like if you heard like those 88 Fingered Louie,
we toured with them. We toured with them in Good Riddance. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be a great tour. But like if you listen to their like outtakes 10-inch, that thing was amazing, and their stuff on Fat sounded like shit on Fat. You know what I mean? So like, yep. Anyways, we should probably talk about horror movies because we're going to talk about horror movies.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had a music geek with you for a minute just because I knew
I
if you're from
love
that
it.
area, if you're from that area, that's like I know a lot about that time.
That you know that stuff because not a lot of people do, you know.
Yeah, it's and I mean I think the I saw Dr. No play in a basement a million years ago and it was unfucking believable with a friend of mine's band in Denver and it was just like and it was just so real and they were just fucking good dudes and like and as much as I love even like a lot of like other like even like more like proper I love Jawbreaker and Mansula and shit like that but like there was just something that always had like a little bit more of like an edge and like a realness in that Oxnard.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah, and horror movies like you had to grow up side by side, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like it was a bit forbidden for me, and that's why it's the forbidden fruit, you know. But yeah, I mean, I was born in '81, so my first memories were like The Blob and like Nightmare on Elm Street, really young and just being like, "What is this?" and just scaring the shit out of me. And my dad used to take me to the baseball card shop to get baseball cards, and then I went in and got those Fright Flicks cards, like I was just, like. And then just, it was like kind of, since I couldn't go out and rent those films, I was basically just whatever came on TV. And a lot of that stuff, a lot of the really commercial studio movies, the New Line stuff like Nightmare on Elm Street, but, Friday the 13th, Halloween, your kind of traditional big horror movies of the 80s. When they would come on television, I would just I would just be so into them. But it was the TV shows that were accessible to me that got me into them, like Tales from the Dark Side. I used to, my dad was a big Twilight Zone fan. That's my favorite show of all time. And so like, that was cool for me to watch. Right.
Sure.
But it was stuff like that, or like Freddy's Nightmares, or it was the stuff that was on television that really, really, really got me into it. But when I became a teen, like the floodgates opened, and like the rest is history, man. I've absorbed all of it since then.
If you got into it through the television shows like Freddy, you're like a real true fucking horror fan. So good work because that shit, I love that shit too. But that shit is like you got to be dedicated to that thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like that is like
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even shows like The Hit that was on HBO in the 80s, like stuff, totally. Stuff like that. Yep.
What are some of the more recent things? Have you been in the theater lately?
Yeah. So my thing is like, I know you were saying that you watched the trailer for Cocaine Bear. I don't watch trailers anymore. I think that I love the old style of movie trailers where the studio would hand it off to somebody else in publicity and go make a trailer for this film. And sometimes they were so cool. They didn't even have scenes from the film. It was just like, I feel like now these trailers they're such a big advertisement. Like I feel like you've already kind of seen it,
Sure.
And unless the movie has some really amazing twist, which not a lot of them do, it's kind of like a waste. So I like going into the cinema now without any precognition of any of this stuff. But I did that with Barbarian, and I absolutely loved it. I thought that was Barbarian, Smile. I did see the short of Smile before Paramount had picked that film up. And I did really like that, but those were two that I saw, that I really enjoyed. I still have a couple critiques about Barbarian that don't make it a perfect film, but I saw that one twice. Actually, I enjoyed it that much with my girlfriend. I'm trying to think what else recently was good. I think that Blumhouse has been getting a lot better. I think, obviously there's a lot more money there now, and they are teaming up with some bigger studios and getting some bigger budgets. I really liked VFW, and I know that's not, I guess, a horror film. It's more of an action film.
Oh, it's a horror film. It's
it counts. We count it.
We got
cool.
it.
Okay, but it does have a nice suspenseful tone to it. Like where you actually kind of feel like I felt like that when I was younger and I saw the movie Judgment Night. It's got that same kind of dark feel to it, and you're like, you're really kind of worried about these people, you know,
Sure.
even though they're badasses, you know, and it has the right balance of comedy in there too. That's not campy. It's just like badass, funny shit, you know.
Sure.
The cast is great, and I love movies that take place in a solitary location and you don't even realize it. That's good. That's good writing.
Sure.
You know, no amount of action or blood or gore that's going to get you out of that. It's good story that's going to do that. So,
did you ever get to see Green Room?
Green Room. I feel like I have. What's that one about?
Green Room is the one where it's a band that is going to a side gig that's off in it's in Oregon, and it's like off the beaten path in a rural part of Oregon, and it's a
Nazi club.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
ultimately it's a Nazi club, and it's got Patrick Stewart as like the head of the entire thing.
Whoa.
And
it's very good.
It's one of those movies. The reason I brought it up is because you said you like the movies that are in like that solitary place.
Yeah.
The entire movie basically takes place in this club, and it's fucking awesome. It is such a good movie.
I'm writing that one down. Green Room. That's funny. So that's like, Green Room. Like at first I was thinking is that the one where Viggo Mortensen drives the black musician around the South? I'm like,
no, that's a
Green Book.
That's a Green Book.
I was like, that wasn't that scary.
Yeah, we're totally super.
See this?
Okay.
It says how rad does Green Room look? I wrote that 7 years ago.
Yeah,
I was so excited.
So it's an A24 movie, but it's really like
that's amazing.
Is Green Room an A24 movie?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Am I wrong? I think it is.
I mean, maybe it is. It might be. I know. So the guy that did Green Room is a fantastic director, and all of his movies actually rock.
Okay.
Because he also did Blue Ruin
and Murder Party, which is my favorite. Jonathan Saulnier, I believe is his name. I can't pronounce his last name.
Yeah, it's Saulnier or Saulnier.
Yeah, but he's fantastic.
I'm out.
Yeah, Green Room you would definitely like, and then I think also his other movie like Blue Ruin's dope. Murder Party is just fun. Murder Party is just straight up fun. It's one of those.
Are they French? Are they French films?
No.
Okay, good. All right.
No,
guys, with names like Macon Blair and
right.
It's A24. I was correct.
Right.
Apologize for fucking questioning.
I didn't question you.
That was me. That was me questioning.
No, Murder Party is one of my favorite in the world because it's just about a bunch of art kids that want to murder somebody for art, but they're real bad at it. Like, and it's just very fun and really brutal. There's some amazing deaths in it.
Okay. All right. I'm in. I'm writing this stuff down. Good. I love it.
Do you think you can handle the
Sinister Six?
The Sinister Six? Do you think that's
I don't, and I'm always willing to try.
So with the Sinister Six, you can either answer real short, you can give long answers, you can do it. And there's no right. I mean, and they're opinion questions, which means that there's no wrong answer, but of course there's a wrong answer. You know what I mean? So
all right. So first one's pretty easy. Freddy or Jason?
Freddy. Jason's not even a character.
Shots fired.
Jason's just meat. He's just meat.
Yeah.
He's supernatural meat. What's the difference between thriller and horror?
See, this is where the lines get blurred a bit, especially these days. Like, so many new films are afraid to say the word horror. They're like, it's a psychological thriller, or the difference between thriller and horror. Morgan Freeman.
Actually, now I want Morgan Freeman in a horror movie.
Yeah. How about this? A thriller will never touch any comedic aspect at all, ever.
Ooh, I like that.
Oh, that's actually
there won't be any of that in there. And what makes horror great is the what makes you scared is the contrast. It's the release of comedy and then, oh shit, and physiologically our bodies, laughter and fear is almost the same physiological response. And that's, if you can have the right balance of that in a movie, that's what makes a great horror film, and it puts you through it.
Oh yeah, that's a really great, like, different level answer.
That's a legitimately awesome answer, man.
Plus the Morgan Freeman in there.
You can really tell that you're a writer because you have that sort of building thing in your.
I'm obsessed with cinema, and if anybody, here's one thing we got to give credit to. I know we could talk shit about whatever we want, but getting a film made is just getting it made and releasing it is like the biggest uphill battle anybody's ever done. So,
yeah.
like anything that's been released, I have respect for, at least, So yeah.
That's awesome. What horror movie influenced your taste the most?
It's my favorite horror movie of all time, Fright Night.
Oh, what a good favorite.
That's a really good one.
It has everything that you want in a film. It takes you through all of it. It's scary. It's funny. There's a love interest. The characters are great. The set decoration is amazing. The soundtrack is good. There's vampires. There's beasts that you don't even know what they are. There's the vampire hunter. There's mentorship. There's friendship. There's death. There's sadness. And it encapsulates 1985, which in my mind is the golden age of horror and of modern horror, I would say. And it's got everything you want in a film.
And a pitch perfect poster too. That poster really is fucking incredible.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So now I have to ask the question: have you seen the actually not really all that bad remake of it?
Oh, come on. It's terrible.
You didn't like the remake? Oh, man. So, listen, I will say this. The CGI in it was terrible. Aside from that, though, the tone, they kept the tone pretty well. And I literally cannot say anything bad about a movie with Toni Collette in it. So, that kind of, unfortunately, that.
Yeah. He's pretty hot. But, I feel like I put that remake on par with Return of the Living Dead 2. I think it's like track home. Like it doesn't have the same vibe. Have you seen the sequel to Fright Night, the original Fright Night 2?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I don't think I have.
The film is incredibly underrated. It's actually scarier than the first one.
Yeah.
I gotta see this.
And that. But I'll watch the remake again, but only once.
Fair. That's fair.
Fair.
That's fair, man.
Yeah, okay. I'll give it a chance.
All right.
All right, I lost my spot here. If you could erase one movie from existence, what would it be? And it doesn't have to be horror.
The Fright Night remake. No. That actually, Jonas, they also did a Fright Night 2 remake. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have, and that one's awful. One's fucking terrible.
Yeah. But I want to give a better answer to that. And you know what? It's easy to say that to get rid of a sequel, right? Because that's usually where movies shit the bed. So let me get a little bit more creative than that. Let's get rid of Snakes on a Plane.
Ooh, that's a hot take.
Ooh.
I'm okay with that one, actually. I'm fully okay with that one.
Yeah, I missed a week on the internet being like, snakes on the motherfucking plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, the reasoning here is I didn't hate that movie so much. Like there's movies that I dislike more. At least, it's somewhat entertaining. But I feel like that was the first domino that started the Sharknadoes and all of this, every piece of junk, that was just trying to, just making fun of the genre almost. And it's just, it started a whole chain of hundreds of just bad, purposely cheesy movies for the sense of being cheesy, when it's like, I like the movies that are cheesy when they're trying not to, when they miss the mark, like there's nothing better than, I would love to sit down with the three of you guys and watch a film where we have, that's what it's all about. You have your own Mystery Science Theater 3000 and your own buddies, right. We wouldn't do that with a movie that's trying to do that to us. And so I think that really watered the genre down.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that's a great.
Yeah. And also the domino effect that it caused. There's so many movies that wouldn't exist without that one, and I'm 100% okay with all of those movies never existing. If I don't like Two-Headed Shark Attack or fucking Megalodon versus Sharktopus, get the fuck out of here. I don't need those movies in my life.
I wanted to give I wanted to make an impact with the film I would erase. It has a compound interest, so
that's a good butterfly effect. Graham picked Scream just for the chaos effect.
Yeah, because I like Scream, but I think it set horror in a certain direction, and I thought it'd just be interesting. It was just a chaos theory answer.
Yeah, 100% chaos theory.
Did you say Scream?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I gotta say, the first one's great. Especially for the time that it came out. For the time that it came out, I thought it's like, okay, horror needed that at that point, but yeah,
absolutely.
I'm kind of against I'm not against, but I'm sick of IP and franchise, and it's easy for big movie studios to do that because they're just looking at the pocketbook. I think there's a lot of great young film directors that really deserve a shot and deserve some money, but the movie studios don't want to do that. It's either going to be a $250 million Marvel movie, or they're going to sink like 8 to 12 million into the Halloween franchise, and that independent filmmaker needs about $500,000 to do something great, and but they won't get a theatrical release. That's why I said I like what Blumhouse is doing now. They've built a nice vehicle for it, where now they can take this to bigger places. So
sure.
I just wanted to mention this. I don't know if you know this about Blumhouse. This is actually kind of a cool thing. Like, I'm kind of like, when it comes to Blumhouse, I'm kind of a nerd with what they do with their movies, because I think it's really cool, because they are a major studio. But what Jason Blum does with the open creativity of the filmmakers he has that come in to do it is really cool. So he actually has two different companies under the same umbrella. So he has Blumhouse, which is like the higher budget ones, and that's where you're going to get like your Halloweens, and you're going to get those ones and everything like that. But then he has another one that's like a secondary one that's called BH Tilt. And that one, yeah. So if you ever see one that's from BH Tilt, what that is it's their lower budget branch of the studio. And the reason that it's cool is because it actually has a cap on the budget on purpose. Like, he actually wants to give indie filmmakers and smaller filmmakers the chance to make a movie that gets a wider release without it having to be some big blockbuster thing. And then if they want to do a big blockbuster thing after that, cool, but like, it gives them more of a platform to get, like, their vision that they want out there. A lot of those filmmakers don't want a 10, 12, $15 million movie.
Yeah, that's amazing. I feel like he's our generation's Roger Corman.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, totally.
And even though Roger Corman's still very alive and well, I'm still making multiple films every year. But yeah, I mean, I love that, his Jason Blum's style is like, it's like he gives these directors, final cut. He doesn't step in, but he gives them a certain amount. He's like a father that's having an affair on his wife. Like, he's like, do what you want. Here's how much money I'm giving you. Don't ask me for anything more. Now go off and do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, don't go over it. I won't fuck with you. Leave me alone.
Right. 1,000%. Yeah. He's like, listen, you get $1 million. Fuck with the $1 million. Have fun with it. I'm stepping away. And that's also the other thing that's cool about it, is that he doesn't micromanage those productions at all. He literally, No, he funds them. He gives them the creative license and says, fucking have at it and have fun. Make your movie. And like, the movie either is successful or it's not, but it gets the same kind of promotion that the other movies do. It's just that it's basically him saying like, here's your shot. Show me what you got. Like make a fucking awesome movie. Make the movie you want to make.
Yeah. But all you guys know how well time can treat some of these things. You see how things become cult like 20, 30 years later. So it's like he's kind of doing what like Richard Band did with like Full Moon Pictures and with Empire. It's like, he's going to own a catalog of 1,000 films in 30 years.
And a lot of them are really good.
Yeah, but I'm just saying they all add something.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, real quick before we go on to the other one, I just want to say I thought last year specifically movies that were dealing with legacy films or stuff like Halloween, I thought they all did incredibly well across the board. I thought Hellraiser was dope. I thought Prey was dope. I thought Scream was dope. Scream 5, and I'm super excited for 6. And I even liked Texas Chainsaw, but a lot of people didn't like that at all.
It was okay.
I thought it was fucking cool as hell. It wasn't my favorite, but it was cool as hell.
My question is just why?
Yeah, I get that.
If something was great, you have a really, really good chance, even if you make something that's really good, to, I don't know. I don't see a lot of integrity behind doing it. I see it for financial reasons only by people that now own these IPs that are not the creators. And then some young director is going to go, hell yeah, I'm going to do that. Like I would do. Who wouldn't, like who would?
Well, I think that worked out for Evil Dead really well. I think the Evil Dead remake was really good and it didn't have anything really to do with it. I like to see creators take an idea and do their own thing with it. Like I don't want to see movies being remade shot for shot. Right. I want to see the ideas remade.
Like the Vince Vaughn. Right.
Exact garbage. All right. Next question. Are ghosts real?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Here's the thing. There are things in this universe that are unexplained, and it's okay that they're unexplained as long as you believe in it, and if you have an experience, that's great. The problem with all these ghost hunter shows is like they've got their gadgets and all this shit, and they're trying to prove it all the time, and a lot of it's sensationalized, and people are always like, okay, I've captured something, I can prove it, now what? Nothing. Like nothing happened. like nobody. Oh, okay, it's like, no, there's not. It's all about the individual's experience. I think there are so many I feel the same way about the UFO thesis. It's like there's been a lot of disclosure now from the Pentagon, and it's like I think they just, they can't explain it. They don't know what's going on, and it's like just that alone is great. It's like, hey, there's some shit we don't know about and we can't explain, so let's leave it open to possibility. There's not always the clear-cut answer to everything. There's a lot of things that there's multiple narratives, and there's even the thing with cryptids or whatever, Loch Ness Monster, a Sasquatch. Like, I don't know. Some people probably have seen it. I don't know if it's like Harry and the Hendersons, but it's like it could be interdimensional thing. I don't know. The same thing with UFOs, or what they're calling UAP now, unidentified aerial phenomena. But yeah, I mean, look, dude, I go to paranormal conventions and I have talked with a lot of parapsychologists, some of the top in the world, and have a lot of great intellectual exchanges. I'm fascinated by this stuff, and like, I definitely believe in so much of that stuff, not necessarily in the traditional sense. I believe there's a lot of, look, we're all made of energy. That energy gets stored somewhere. And there's like, I don't necessarily think that it's always a spirit from the dead haunting somebody actively. I mean, a lot of this stuff, if a big event happens and a lot of energy is created, I don't know. I think there can be some residual energy that stays there, I don't know. That's my belief on it. And I mean, this is a whole nother podcast. So I'll just say, the answer is yes.
Would you watch my show, which I'm going to call Ghost Brawl, which is we're going to find like kind of like dickhead ghosts in like places that are haunting people and fight them. And like it's gonna have like a literal thing of like there's gonna be like a crew of us, and like somebody's gonna have like a scatter gun that shoots like holy water or some shit, and then I am gonna like actually put up dukes and brawl a ghost every episode.
Shadow boxing is gonna mean something different.
It's gonna be fully ghost brawl. I'm telling you, it's gonna be fucking dope.
I feel like Ghost Adventures already does that. It's like they never focus on the people that actually had occurrences. They go, all right, what happened? All right, leave. We're gonna go in here and figure out. We're gonna spend one night in this place. Focus on the guys in the black shirts and like, bro, I was hit. Come out. If you guys are haunting this place, get out here. It's like, come on, dude. That can't happen every episode. Someone's like, "Oh shit," or like
they've solved humanity's biggest question every episode. No, that's not how that works. That's not how.
No, it's actually every single episode of Ghost Adventures with Zach Baggins is a Bang energy ghost. It's just like straight out.
I call him douche Baggins. Yeah. Dude, listen. Here's all you got to know. Watch the credits on that show. There's 9 writers on that show. 9. Why does there even need to be 1?
Right. Exactly. Should just be me showing up. And see, that's what my show's going to be. Just all about the brawl. And it's going to be like, and it's just going to get into like some professional wrestling type shit. And like, you know what I mean? Like, it'll be cool.
So I have to mention this now that we've talked about Ghost Adventures. One of my crowning achievements on the internet is that Zach Baggins blocked me on Twitter. And the reason that he blocked me on Twitter, but I'll tell you why. And it wasn't even like, I didn't even say anything fucked up to him. This is how fucking thin-skinned he was. He had posted a poster of the movie that he was going to make. And like, I was like, all right, cool, whatever. But there were so many fucking filters on it that it looked like it was cartoonishly filtered. And so all I did was retweeted it to him and I said, explain yourself. And that's all I said. And then he was like, his response was literally no, blocked. And then he fucking blocked me. I was like, all right, if that's all it took, Jesus, man.
That tells you enough about the personality of somebody,
Yeah. All right, last one. Midsummer or Hereditary?
Hereditary. My girlfriend's way more into like folk horror, so I think Midsummer is kind of her deal. I've played festivals with Night Demon out in like the woods of Sweden many times. It's so like awesome. I can play stuff like that. But I would say Midsummer, the guy does a killer stage dive on that. I really like that.
He does.
That's cool. But I'm way more into supernatural stuff than culty kind of stuff.
For sure, yeah.
That's way more my bag. But my other half I think she liked both of them. But I think she would probably be more. Actually, her brother for her birthday got her a taxidermied mouse in the midsummer, like flowered like the whole garden.
So good. That's so good.
Rad.
Yeah. And she's a vegan, so she loved that.
Dude, I would say that the old people stage dive would be the approximate moment where my brain would have to go, I'm either way into this or I'm getting the fuck out of here. I don't know which one it is. I'm either like, you know what? They were probably shitty white people. Like, that's okay. Like, or those white people just jumped off that thing onto a rock. I need to leave. Like, I'm not quite sure which way we would go.
My thing would be like, man, we're throwing old people off this cliff. This is the fucking greatest party ever. Like we need why aren't we throwing old people off of cliffs at every party? Is the
they spike their lemonades really well.
Ryan, Ryan, if you watch that film again, look in some of the final scenes where they're all like where they burn the thing down. There's like NARD CORE symbols everywhere. And like,
I'm totally checking out. Think about it as like it's just a NARD CORE fest. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
it's a NARD
Nard
curse.
stock.
Well,
First of all, I just want to say that ghost answer might have been my favorite one we've ever had on the show.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was good. It was good. It was great.
And I went and I won the thriller competition too, man.
Yeah. You
did well.
Well, this has been a lot of fun, man. And what do we got for? I'm going to start on recommendations. Okay.
Yep.
I am going to recommend reading the responses on my Hard Times articles because I didn't do that for a long time. Occasionally, I would, but for some reason, because I'm in my head and shit lately, I decided to read the responses on a Hard Time article that I had dropped this week. I had a Hard Times article that was based on, it was talking about Turnstile, the band, and people in the article thought that I was somehow a Turnstile plant, and that we were promoting this as a like some sort of advertisement for Turnstile.
Amazing.
So, in other words, Turnstile, you owe me money. That's what I'm saying. Anyways, yes, I had a new Hard Times article drop this week. That was a lot of fun. I am reading Tender is the Flesh right now, by Agustina. I'm gonna try for our South American listeners, please, because I think she's Argentinian. Bazterrica, Bazterrica. I don't like that's like we are so dumb in America. There are so many people who have but you stick a Z in a word and I'm like completely lost. And I read shit. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what I don't get it. Anyways,
one of the biggest things that Americans have a problem with is if there's a Q in a word and there's not a U next to it. You're like, how the fuck do I pronounce that? I don't know why is that Q in there? I don't know what's going on.
What's the book about?
It is about growing people for food. So if you are into horror-ish, sort of creepy, fun cannibal, I like cannibal tales. I'm no Army Hammer, but I enjoy some cannibal stuff. Movies like Raw or what's the one where he's.
Did you know that Cannibal Tales is actually the final boss of Veggie Tales?
That's right. What's the movie with
Cannibal Holocaust?
No, not Cannibal Holocaust. No, what's the movie where he has her in the basement and it's so good.
There's
Silence
Fido.
of the Lambs.
No, it's with the superhero guy. Oh God, he's Bucky Barnes.
Not Fresh.
Fresh.
Yeah, Fresh or Raw. You would think that I would know that. They're just
Fresh and Raw are also two very similar things.
Yeah, exactly. But I like stuff like that. So if you like that kind of stuff, Tender is the Flesh.
Cool. All right.
Jonas,
who's up next? Jonas.
Yeah, I got a couple. First one, movie is Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. I fucking revisited that not too long ago, and I forgot how much I absolutely love that movie. So yeah, that one you can find it on multiple different streaming services, but I think it's on Shudder. If it's not on Shudder, I know it's on Tubi. And it's also actually on YouTube for free. But yeah, Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. It is awesome. Absolutely awesome.
And scary found footage. It's very good.
Straight up scary. It's legit scary. Also, a movie that I'm going to give some love that I think got unfairly shit on. And it was just dropped on Shudder. And it was from a few years ago. It's Gretel and Hansel. I
love that movie.
Yeah. Absolutely love that movie. I think it got an unfair shake when it came out because people were being weird about it. I think
because 30 Gretel and Hansel or Hansel and Gretel's came out and they were all weed Hansel and Gretel or
Hansel and Gretel get baked.
Yeah, they were goofy as shit, and Gretel and Hansel was fucking cool as shit looking.
Yeah, it was atmospheric, it was dark, it was like literally dark, like the actual lighting, it was dark on purpose. And I absolutely loved the shit out of it. And because I'm doing this now, I'm recommending a physical media release. Every week we do the show. I'm gonna shout this one out because it's one of my new favorites, and that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2
Oh
4K.
yeah,
Dude, it's the 4K
Bill,
release from yeah, it's the 4K release from Vinegar Syndrome, and like they did such a good job with this case and with the actual like release of it. So yeah, I'm just showing that off. Vinegar Syndrome is doing some really cool shit with some really cool movies. I got this one, and then I also got a 4K copy of Freeway in the same shipment, and the Freeway copy is awesome too. Like they just did some cool shit. But yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is so fun. Like, I mean, all of us love that movie anyway, but that specifically, that physical release is dope. You're a fan of it, Jarvis?
I love it. Bill Moseley is a Night Demon fan, and I love his character, his portrayal of Chop Top in that film.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
and it's just so great. I mean, the first two, I'm not so much a fan of the third installment, but yeah,
most people aren't.
I'm definitely into Chainsaw 2. I highly recommend it. I think it's highly underrated, and it's kind of lost in the shuffle, to be honest. It doesn't get a lot of streaming love, and it definitely needs to be revisited by a lot of people.
Hell yeah. I don't have any music this time. Aside from checking out Night Demon, but I don't have any other music. Right. Yeah, I don't have any other music that's popping off right now. But yeah, those movies, fucking check all those out.
Sweet. All right, I got a movie on Shudder now. Nocebo. It's really fucking great. It's Irish Filipino. It's about a woman who falls ill, and a Filipino lady comes to help her cure her illness. And I'm not going to say anything else because as Jarvis said, going into any movie without seeing the trailer or anything, it's fucking great. I love that. But
any movie,
yeah. But I'll watch trailers if it's something I've never heard of, and I'm like, I don't even know if I would do that, and I'll check it out. But like, if I know I'm going to see it, and if it's a horror movie, I'm trying not to watch it. Anyway, I still haven't seen the Evil Dead one. I'm stoked about that. Anyway, Nocebo is fucking great. It's on Shudder. Music-wise, Spanish Love Songs just dropped a cover of Smile Like You Mean It by the Killers, and it fucking rules. The last cover they did was Blink 182. They're so fucking good. They've got a new album coming out soon. I'm really excited for that. But Death Valley Girls also put out a record called Islands in the Sky. And they're from Los Angeles. And they're described as garage rock, psych pop, proto metal. But they self-describe as California Doom Boogie. And it's fucking great. Yeah, it's great. I love it so much. So yeah, that's it.
Fuck yeah.
Take us out, Jarvis.
So this is what I'm currently reading.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's funny. I mean, you just kind of, when we started this interview, you guys had just told me what we're doing here, so I wasn't really prepared. But yeah, sitting right here, Satan Wants You, The Cult of Devil Worship in America by Arthur Lyons. It's an old book, so I'm not going to recommend this because it's going to cost a lot of money for people to get. But it's really cool. It's just like an old, pre-satanic panic kind of precursor here. Mm-hmm. There's some interesting information in here. A lot of controversial stuff. I kind of wonder, I haven't investigated much into the publisher, kind of what narrative is spun behind this, but it's very interesting.
If you real quick, Jarvis, if you ever want to hear a cool episode that we did about Satanism, we did an episode with Zandora LaVey.
Really?
Yeah. Zandora's a friend of mine.
And Lucian Graves.
We both Lucian Greaves and Zandora.
All right. I binged this podcast on the bus anyway on this upcoming tour, so I will to that. That's amazing. There are some great photos in this book too, but
Oh yeah.
My book recommendation is a new book by Mitch Horowitz called Uncertain Places.
Mm-hmm.
Essays on occult and outsider experiences. It's kind of a greatest hits of Mitch Horowitz. It's like a anthology of essays that he's written over the years and that are slightly updated. Mitch Horowitz is out of Brooklyn, New York. He is kind of like in my mind, he's the greatest modern day philosopher without being kind of self-toted. He's a very honest guy who gives an honest approach to everything. He's basically a believing historian in the esoteric and the occult, and he's written a ton of books. I highly recommend Occult America, another book that he wrote. Daydream Believer. There's a lot of great ones. The Millionaire Club. So many stuff. Mitch Horowitz, just look him up. He's a fountain of wisdom, and he's a seeker on the path, and he asks a lot of great questions of stuff, and he actually tests stuff out himself. So he's a guy that blow up your ass. And then musical recommendation, Night Demon, new album Outsider, out March 17th. I also recommend the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. We have our own podcast that is 140 weeks running consecutively. It's a very journalistic approach of the band. It's not just guys sitting around shooting the shit. No, I'm just saying, because that could be pretty boring about a band. There's not like an exchange like we have on this show. Right. But it's hosted and curated by a fan, and you get to hear stuff from the band, from the crew, from the record companies, from other fans. We break down the songs. It's just like it's an all access pass to basically what it's like being in a band these days and what it takes to do it. So it's actually pretty interesting. I didn't think it would last more than 2 episodes. I didn't think we'd have that much to talk about, but apparently there is a lot of stuff. So I recommend that. There will be this coming Friday. I don't know when this will air, but you can go check it out. There will be an audio narration of the story of Outsider for people that want to know the concept behind it. And hang on, one quick thing. Sorry, I wasn't prepared.
Okay. I'm all about the narrative approach to those things like that. Like that podcast that you're doing. I think that's awesome. So I'm all into that.
Check it out. I think you'll dig it. Like it's really well put together. I really appreciate the production team we have working on it, because it's a fucking lot of work, as you guys know. Yeah. One cool thing, if you go to nightdemon.net, you'll find everything Night Demon related there. Links to our socials and news and tour dates, but you can also link to our merch store, and you can pre-order the album. And we have these amazing Coke mirrors, these Outsider.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those are really cool.
So good.
Could you blow off the album cover?
That's really the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
We had to call them party mirrors.
Of course.
Sure.
We know what that's for.
We all know there's only one way to party.
Right. Like, dude, literally,
with a bear.
If I walked into like the Viper Room or Whiskey A Go Go and saw that in the green room, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's the Coke mirror. Like straight up, it would just be like that's where people do cocaine.
Here.
we are playing the Whiskey A Go Go the day our album comes out. So
amazing. It's so good.
It's on St. Patrick's Day. There's an Irish bar next door. Our album, The Story of Outsider, was written actually about a physical location in Ireland that I went to. So like everything's lining up, and hopefully there'll be some green blow.
Sweet.
Hilarious. I have to mention this now because this is a callback that comes around to the beginning of the episode when I told you about my mom. So I went to the Whiskey A Go Go because I do live concert photography. And there's a band in New York that is kind of like my local band that I do all their photos, and it's like they're friends of mine. So it's kind of like no matter how big I get in that arena, I will always do their photos like for free. They're my people. So they were going to LA, And I was like, well, fuck, I guess I'll go to LA and I'll go follow them around and see what they're doing. And they did a show at Whiskey A Go Go. So I go in there, take the photos. The photos are fucking sick. It's a great show and everything. And I go in the back room and I start taking photos of the green room. I sent it to my mom. I was like, guess where I'm at? Didn't take a picture of the outside, didn't take a picture of nothing else, just the green room. She goes, you're at the Whiskey, and that green room hasn't changed since 1978. There's a couple of more advertisements on the wall. She's like, but that's the same fucking green room. She goes, don't scrape underneath those benches at all.
You bet. Oh, never mind. I'm not gonna. That's a bad joke. Okay.
No, she just immediately though. She was like, she goes, that place has not changed. She goes, and then I took photos of like the rest of the place and everything like that. She goes, no, she said it's a time capsule. It's beautiful. She said, but that green room. She said that green room is exactly the same. It has not changed. I was like, that's so cool.
Amazing. That's cool, man. That's
thanks so much for joining us and taking.
Yeah, this has been rad.
Yeah, this has been really great.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys, and I really enjoyed the exchange. Hopefully we can meet up one day in person. If Night Demon is ever playing in any of your areas, please
invite us. Right?
Yeah, please reach out to me. I'd love to have you guys as our guest, and we'll hang out, have some beers, and yeah, I mean, let's keep the connection going.
For sure,
you guys are one of my kind,
So yeah, that's we appreciate the hell out of you, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
come up to Portland. Yeah. Anyway, thanks to everybody everywhere and for making it happen. Let's see, Battle of the Countries. Let's see. They've changed around my dashboard. United States still number one. United Kingdom is good. Actually has taken a point from the United States. Canada number 3. Yeah, we're getting big in the UK, guys. I think that means we have to go there and become
sounds UK. It sounds like we need to take the DeLorean to 1776.
Exactly. Oh, trust me, I'd go back. Like, fried fish and not giving a fuck about my teeth. I am already there. Canada is 3rd. New Zealand still beating out Australia. Come on, Australia, you're next. You got to give it to New Zealand. This is my favorite thing. Germany still holding in there, actually tied with Australia now. Sweden, Turks and Caicos Islands still holding in there every week. Whoever's listening in Turks and Caicos, you guys are awesome. The fact that we have such a we have 10 towns and people are listening to us in like Quintana Roo, Mexico City, Baja California, Hidalgo, Oaxaca. Like that is I love Mexico so much. So anyways, thank you everybody for listening all over the world.
Martin, if that's you in Turks and Caicos, text me.
Yeah, Mark, come on. If you're hiding out in Turks and Caicos, it just seems like someplace that people would hide off and have like offshore accounts. Anyways, thanks for everybody. If you are struggling, we hear you and we feel you and we see you. Reach out. We're always available. We all need to do this together. Take care of each other. And if I don't, till the next time we see you, please start some fires and break some glass. Thank you.